It is a Memorial Day Monday right here in downtown Alton, and all day long for this show, like I've been previewing for the past couple of weeks, we are doing Salute to Service with Alton VFW Post 1308. Chad, Wayne, and Angie helping set up some great interviews like this one we're about ready to have with Bill Perkins, who, right off the bat, before I ask you about your time in the service and all the community work that you do, you were recently a little bit of a star around here. Is it okay if I ask you about the brick streets really fast?
Sure.
Awesome. I got to ask you, so we were talking before we hit record here, and this is something you've known for quite some time.
Yes. Well, I growing up, I always heard it was the steepest West 7th was the steepest paved street in the world. Mm-hmm. Once I got in the Marine Corps and kind of got around, I saw streets that were steeper, and I just kind of put it on a back burner. And then some years back, I got to look at that again. When we finally got the internet, you Google that, and you find out it's not. But through the process of elimination, there's no street steeper that's entirely brick.
Gotcha.
So...
And so this time, after a couple of attempts to really get something going, now able to put some press out.
Yes, thanks to the folks at Principia that came down and measured it and all, yeah.
That's just incredible. And I had to ask you because I almost called you, but then Dan had such a great story. I thought, well, every question was pretty much answered that I had in that one. And so really appreciate your time. And if you could give us a little bit of a background on your role in service for our country and what branch you were a part of and the conflicts.
Well, I graduated Alton High in 74, went in the Marine Corps, and did 20 years.
Wow.
And I always joked that between Saigon 75 and Somalia in 93, there wasn't too many dances I didn't get invited to. My trade was communications. I did tours as an instructor at OCS. I worked special operations for a while, reconnaissance a lot, and enjoyed that. Been primarily Far East and so forth in that area, Southwest Asia and all. Never made any Mediterranean cruises or deployments into that area. Central America and that Caribbean. But,
it's very interesting. And if you don't mind me asking, was life in service or active duty military, was that something you always wanted to do, or was that just the way your cards were dealt in 74?
Oddly enough, I toyed with the idea of the military from time to time over the years. And of all the things, June of 73, I saw the movie Battle Cry.
Okay.
Next day, went down and talked to the recruiter, Gunnery Sergeant Cummings. He was from Memphis, Tennessee. Graduated Humes High School a year ahead of Elvis.
Okay, I was going to ask.
And I told him I was interested in communications, and he gave me some brochures. He said, look, you got another year of school. He says, I'll call you in January, because he talked about the delay entry program, join now, leave later. He said, but I want you to finish school. And so then the following year, I entered the delay entry program, and then a little bit after graduation, shoved off for Parris Island.
Wow. And with that being said, what do you think? What are some of the skills that you learned with your time? Being a Marine and active. Did it shape who you are today, and take care of some of those growing pains we all needed?
The thing I love about the military is that I went places and I saw the world, and I know there's parts of it I didn't see, and I saw a lot of things I didn't like, a lot of things that made me grateful for what I had, and I didn't grow up with a lot. But when I saw what other people had, which was a lot less than I had, it made me grateful. And it's a growing experience. And it teaches you, regardless of what branch, to live on your own. You got to make your decisions. You got to make those decisions and live with the results of them. And it makes you self-sufficient. And it gives you a sense of responsibility and accomplishment. And many times it's the intangibles that are most rewarding. And there's a kind of a difference when I talk to people, I make this amount of money, or, I own this, and I'll say, okay, well, what do you do? I'm in the, and anybody talk to, well, I'm in the military. Raleigh, where you been?
That's true.
they'll start talking about, like a buddy of mine that him and his wife were both in the Navy, and they did tours in Scotland twice. And it's like people are like, wow.
Well, and with that being said, this Monday is a very special Monday as we get to, remember. And, Bill, I'm sure you have had this question asked many times, but if you could, for our audience, what does Memorial Day mean to you?
My pet peeve, do not say Happy Memorial Day to a veteran.
Right.
Because this is the day that we remember the people that didn't come back, or the ones whose families still have scars, and we'll always have those scars. And it's a time for remembrance and being thankful for what we have. It's not a time for celebration.
And that's what I was going to ask you, because time and time again, it seems like, especially with my generation, there was a recent study that came out that kind of showed that not a lot of, the people that are my age knew the difference between a Veterans Day and a Memorial Day, and that's troubling to me. And with that being said, how do you spend your Monday in reflection and remembrance as someone who is a veteran of the Marines?
Well, Memorial Day for me is a very busy day.
Yeah.
Because I'm at the VFW 6 in the morning putting up flags, and the flags we put up had been on the coffins of veterans. And the families had donated them. We embroider their name on it, and it goes up, and we use them until they become unserviceable. Then we properly retire them. So we put those up. And then I'm also with the Marine Corps League, and we put the flags up over at the Upper Alton section of Oakwood Cemetery. Then we go around to the cemeteries. We fire honors at all the cemeteries. Then we do the repo at the bridge. We come back, grab a drink of water, switch rifles, grab flags, go do the parade.
So you're going to be moving a little bit
Yes.
on Monday. Well,
Yes.
And with that being said, and you hit on something great, because I went, how do you start an interview, when we're talking about Memorial Day? Because I'm definitely know a little bit more enough to get, don't say Happy Memorial Day, because this is a time to reflect. And if you could, who are some of the, and don't mean to pry here, but in your time in the military, was there a folk or two that you met along the way that kind of changed who you were, or added to your perspective of who you are?
A little bit. There's I remember Rick Pittman. He was Medal of Honor winner.
Wow.
And we were stationed to we were both stationed Pendleton at the same time, spent time at Staff and SEAL Club together. But he always said the same thing. He says, the problem with being Medal of Honor winners, you stop being the person and start becoming the medal.
Yeah.
And just in the way he brought that up, it reminded me to keep an eye on what I have and the people that I'm in charge of. Yeah. And because there's other things he said in it
Right.
about the matter, but it's really hard to pin down any certain people per se, because there's so many of them that I run into that went all the way back to World War II. That many of those that did 30 years were winding up about time that I had any exposure to them, and so they were senior enlisted that I just see as an example. And then of course the Koreans, the Vietnam, and so forth. But it was always the same thing: taking care of your Marines and taking care of your equipment, and make sure you get the mission done. Mission first, and then your people. And it teaches you responsibility, accountability, and keep planning and so forth. All of that came out of the examples, the advice of all the different people.
Wow. And, and to me, that's what fascinates me the most, because my, uncle, lieutenant commander in the Navy, my brother over, was in Afghanistan, and just to talk to them about some of the folks that they met, it seems like your guys' relationships really do go beyond, what a couple of years of a normal friendship would look like, and they're lifelong in a lot of ways. And with that being said, when you're doing all of these, tributes, and you're going out and you're doing the salutes and you're placing flags, is there something that you reflect on at each spot, or is there just a message that's in your mind all day, or is it, at this point, just trying to make sure that you're getting everything done efficiently and making sure that we can do this the right way?
Well, we put these up for a reason. And so my mindset is on accomplishing them, to get the flags up, get them up right, looking good, and then I'm happy. So in my mind, I know I've done what needs to be done. Mission accomplished.
Right.
That's pretty much the end of it there.
Awesome. And with that being said, how do you feel the RiverBend community is with Memorial Day? Do they celebrate it the right, or do they remember it the right way? Do they?
One, I cannot stand that term, RiverBend.
Yeah, that's true.
Greater Alton Metroplex, which sounds very positive and aggressive and progressive. The people I'm around understand. See, that's the thing. It kind of depends on the people that you associate with, and like you were saying, the younger people many times don't quite understand what somebody else might be talking about, different things, and the meaning behind it. But I think the people here, because you've got, well, I know this year Bethalto's not going to have their parade, but so we do have the parades. We do have those, and we do remember the occasion. And the parade route in Alton is always packed. And so it shows a turnout. I know people love a parade, but they also know the reason behind it.
Exactly.
And then, of course, that's twofold, because we're honoring those who have paid the ultimate price. At the same time, it is the longest continuously running parade in the Memorial Day parade in the nation. Wow. And which is an honor in and of itself, which speaks volumes about the caliber of the people here in the area.
Absolutely. And I wanted to ask you about, working with VFW Post 1308 on a day like Memorial Day. And I keep telling folks, they don't realize how much you guys really do to contribute the Post and you guys in particular in the Post as a whole to community outreach, community support with local organizations. And on a day, like this, it's all hands on deck, correct?
Yes.
And with that being said, what are some of the highlights of VFW, with what their contributions are, not just specifically for Memorial Day, but just some of your, one of those, kind of milestones or one of those.
Well, of course, we do both the Memorial Day and the Halloween Parade,
Right.
And then we do funerals, and we'll do flag presentations at schools and churches or community centers or whatever they want. Somebody will go out and maybe talk about the flag or about a specific event or something if they want that. We've also got the food pantry out there for veterans and their families here at our post. We have the VOD program, which is national VFW-wide, which leads to a scholarship. And then at our post, we also have one of the things I'm very proud of that I helped Wayne Abel set up was a CID program.
Perfect segue, because I want to tell everybody at home. I saw a picture on Facebook with a very dapper looking Wayne Abel and Bill Perkins over at, it was at the post office,
Yes,
correct?
Before I retired.
And now I didn't realize you and Wayne worked together at the post office, which is fascinating. But take us through this. Now, this is, to me, one of the most remarkable things that I've heard that you guys have done. I mean, to me, when you started telling me this before we hit record, I got a little bit of my hair standing up on my arms here. Take us through this.
Well, the idea is Wayne Abel's. I mean, Wayne comes up with a lot of ideas. I always say I'm his Barney Fife because he'll come up with an idea and he'll say, "What do you think?" And then we'll bounce it back and forth and this is one of the best ones we have. And it's called the Courage, Inspiration, Determination. And he come up with the idea. Some years back, there was this boy, Cody Green, had terminal cancer, and he wanted to be a Marine. And this Staff Sergeant Dolfini heard about it, went to visit him, talked with him, and as his health deteriorated, he kind of made him an honorary Marine. And then when it got down to the last hours, Sergeant Dolfini showed up in full dress blues and stood guard outside the door until he had passed. And it made a lot of papers, especially the military ones and so forth. Wayne saw that, and he knew there was something in this, more because we all saw it. Everybody moved by it, but Wayne saw something more. And he prayed about it, and he came up with this idea. And he, "What do you think?" And so we went with it. And what we do is we have a regulation medal, size medal made here down in Wood River, and we've got certificates. And we'll get in full in our dress blue, in our VFW uniforms.
Okay.
And we'll present this either at hospitals or where there's a spinal bifida support group that we went and presented at. We actually had a kids meeting at the VFW where we presented it to all of them. And we do it just as if you were getting an award in the military. The certificate reads the same way. You got somebody reading it. They pen it on them. We salute them. They get the certificate in a folder. It also comes with the junior comrade card for post 1308. So the day we had that meeting at the VFW, the first order of business was we had to vote. They had to vote to see, does mom and dad get to stay in here for the meeting?
How'd they vote?
They voted to let them stay.
Oh, wow. Very caring children, it seems like.
Yeah. But we've gone to the Shriners Hospital a couple of times, Children's Hospital, Cardinal Glennon. And I remember the first one we went to this one room, and we had to mask up, suit up, everything. And I don't think the boy was more than 8 or 9 years old. Had this scar, must have been open heart. I mean, from the throat down. And we were reading the certificate, and he sat up in the bed. And we finished everything, and we gave a salute, and we left the room. And his dad came out in tears. He said that was the first time he'd sat up since surgery. I was like, whoa.
How do you even react to something like that? To me, you're going to get me in. To me, that just and that's what I think, Bill, to have something like this to where, because we know, we talk time and time again about, veterans and things, but we don't really talk about exactly what you guys do to not only just, provide so much support to the community, but carry the values that the military taught you all.
Exactly. And, another problem we have, both the VFW, the American Legion, is, that's just a bar for veterans.
Exactly.
And no, yes, there's a bar there, but
Right.
there's more to it than that because, well, the new GI Bill program our troops have today.
Oh, yeah.
Was the biggest pushers of that was the VFW and the American Legion and DAV and AMBETS. These veterans organizations were the loudest voices in Congress to get this pushed through. When they start talking about closing military bases, we're the first ones yelling about and reminding them. And so, whether you ever come to a meeting or not, being a member, that number counts when that national commander goes to talk to whoever, because there's 1 million members, there's 2 million votes.
You're right. Well, and too, we've talked to Angie time and time again about joining the auxiliary and being a part of it. There's so many things, and that's why we do this segment called Salute to Service, because so many times, and it just amazes me, the VFW is not open to the public, they're open for the public, and that's what we talk about time and time again. And Bill, what's your big takeaway on a day like today when you guys are at the post doing, pulling out all the stops and remembering the fallen in the best way possible, in my opinion?
Well, that's kind of a difficult one because one of the things I noticed with VFW is that there's this unspoken commonality between every veteran. And like I said, when I first got active, you had a lot of World War II guys. And it didn't matter. We all had that same thread, and it was an understanding without anything ever being said. And we know it's Memorial Day, and we have our memories, the good ones and the others, and we understand one to another, and usually you'll hear a funny story, and that's usually the way, it's something that we'll relate one to another or something, but we all think about the ones that we remember that never had a homecoming.
Absolutely. And Bill, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show today and talking about this because, I don't think this could probably sometimes be very easy to do when you're talking about such a serious and somber occasion like Memorial Day, but to have some insights and learn more about what you've done in the past and what the VFW continues to do with your support and so many others, it's really amazing to know that we have such a great organization for our veterans, but also for our community as well.
But I'd also just like to add, regardless of if it's Memorial Day or, well, of course, like I said, don't say Happy Memorial Day. But whenever talking to a veteran, don't ask them where, what was your MOS or what was your job? That's an okay thing to ask.
Okay.
But if they mention somebody, oh yeah, I was over in, well, what did you do over it? Don't
leave it alone.
Leave it alone. Just you were in if you were in the Navy, but what was your rating? Or in the Marine Corps, or the Army, okay, your MOS, your job and stuff. Those are things that are okay to ask. Or where were you stationed? But beyond that, hi, welcome home, have a seat. Glad you could join us. If we're going to talk, we'll talk when we want to talk.
Absolutely.
About what we want to talk about.
Absolutely.
And just treat us like you would anybody else.
Absolutely. And Bill, thank you so much for stopping by today. And, as you guys know, I told you guys promoted this already that we would be taping throughout the week because Bill and the VFW are very busy on Monday. And to have you ahead of time to really reflect on this early and just kind of raise awareness to what you guys do is really incredible. So thank you.
You're welcome.
We'll take a quick break here. Salute to Service on this Memorial Day Monday continues after this.